Job chapter 2. Again, the day came when the sons of God came to present themselves before the Lord. And the Satan also arrived among them to present himself before the Lord. And the Lord said to the Satan, "Where have you come from?" The Satan answered the Lord, "From roving about on the earth and from walking back and forth across it." Then the Lord said to the Satan, "Have you considered my servant Job? For there is no one like him on earth, a pure and upright man, one who fears God and turns away from evil, and he still upholds firmly to his integrity, so that you stirred me up to destroy him without reason." But the Satan answered the Lord, "Skin for skin. Indeed, a man will give up all that he has to save his life. But extend your hand and strike his bone and his flesh, and he will no doubt curse you to your face." The Lord said to the Satan, "All right, he is in your power, only preserve his life." So the Satan went out from the presence of the Lord, and he afflicted Job with a malignant ulcer from the sole of his feet to the top of his head. Job took a shard of broken pottery to scrape himself with while he was sitting among the ashes. Then his wife said to him, "Are you still holding firmly to your integrity? Curse God and die." But he replied, "You're talking like one of the godless women would do. Should we receive what is good from God and not also receive what is evil?" In all this, Job did not sin by what he said. When Job's 3 friends heard about this calamity that had happened to him, each of them came from his own country: Eliphaz the Temanite, Bildad the Shuhite, and Zophar the Naamathite. They met together to come to show sympathy for him and to console him. But when they gazed upon him intently from a distance, did not recognize him. They began to weep loudly. Each of them tore his robes, and they threw dust into the air over their heads. And they sat down with him on the ground for 7 days and 7 nights. Yet no one spoke a word to him, for they saw that his pain was very great. Okay, so there we have Job having a second round of the accuser going to God and saying, or actually God going to the accuser and saying, "Hey, you challenged Job and you came up short, buddy. You came up short. Job didn't change. Job wasn't in it for the blessings of God. He was following me regardless." And he's like, "Oh yeah, well, he had stuff, but you didn't hurt him." And Job says God says to him, "You can take and attack Job, but you can't take his life. You have to preserve his life." So the accuser goes out and he does it, and he afflicts him from head to toe. And I don't know what this is like. Malignant ulcers from the sole of your feet to the head. He shaves his head, probably because he's dealing with the ulcers under the hair. Also because he is showing the shame that he feels externally with the sackcloth and the ashes that he is sitting in. Yay, one reason. Welcome in, friend. And this is where, there's almost always more than one way to read a passage. And we often go to one rendering of it, and we'll go down a path, and it's like, I usually don't agree when we have only one option of how it's happened. Oh, Job's wife is in the wrong here, that she's thinking that God is worthless and Job should curse God. Yeah, that's what, no, I think she's coming from compassion. Not only has she lost all of her children, she is watching her husband suffer. She is in mourning, and she is grieving, and she is watching her husband struggle. And she has come up with perhaps a solution to end his suffering. Job, have you considered, maybe your integrity is not so important. You could end the suffering. If you cursed God, he would kill you. And then you could end the suffering. Job, it might be a way out. I think it's out of compassion. I mean, misguided, sure, but I think it's coming from a place of compassion, not a disregard for God. It is I can't stand to watch you suffer. I'm already grieving and you're grieving as well. And now you have the suffering on top of it. I want your pain to end. I believe that is her motivation. She wants Job's pain to end. She has found a way she thinks that his pain could end. And he's like, I'm not taking the simple way out. I'm not taking the simple way out. So, the best thing the friends did was stay quiet. Yes, they did. Yes, that's the best thing. Yes. Also, it is for 7 days that they are there. 7 is symbolic again. They come and they spend time in complete silence, in total silence for a duration that was completely what Job needed. And then they end that in the 8th day by ruining it all. So the 8th day after they should have rested, they go and they done mess it up, Aaron. But Job's reference is, you're talking like a godless woman. Job recognizes this is not his wife's normal demeanor, and she does know who God is. Foolishness has to do more with godlessness than silliness. So yes, foolish woman. We know we got to receive good from God and not just evil. Okay, let's go look at the friends' names real quick. Bum, bum. So Job, if you weren't here, means hated. So there's a man who is hated, and the accuser goes to God to accuse him. And his 3 friends heard about how hated had evil. And also, this is, okay, Ra doesn't always have to be evil. It is good and bad, okay? And we use evil, and we always think of its moral standing when we say evil. And it could just be bad. There are good and there are bad. But we go with the tree of knowledge of good and evil instead of the good and bad. And I think we could just translate it good and bad, because Ra doesn't always have to have a connotation of motive. It can simply be, like when I got up this morning, I had a mug that still had some tea in it, and it was bad tea. Why? It was no longer good. It sat in there overnight. It was a chai latte, and the milk soured overnight. Not good. Was it evil? No. It would have been Ra. It would have been the word I used for it. Now, if someone had intentionally made my tea bad, I would still use the word Ra, but then I might have the connotation of it being an evil act, not just a bad act, an evil act. So it would be Ra. So I'm just trying to give you nuance there when you run into that word. Sorry, I sometimes get frustrated with the way things get translated, but that's because I have some knowledge, but I also know, it's limitation on things in English to translate words from other languages. Okay, so we have Eliphaz, and we have Bildad, not Bilbo, Bildad, Bilbo's dad, Bildad. Zophar, sounds like shofar, the trumpet. I don't know that is going to be connected, but there we have the 3 friends. So, bump. Eliphaz.
Strong's H464. Eliphaz.
All right, Eliphaz. My God is fine gold. So finely refined gold. My God is gold. My God is fine gold, the gold that has been refined. So, gold. We have Bildad. Confusing by mingling love.
Strong's H1085. Bildad.
Okay, so it could just be confusing love, but it's confusing love by mingling love. So the friends here have a God that they are true to. They are mingling love together in what they are doing, but they are confusing the situation. They are confusing it. They think they're acting out of love, but they are not. And then Zophar.
Strong's H6691. So fair. So fair.
Is sparrow. Sparrow. Now, I'm not going to go look up the places they are from. You can do that yourself. But my God is a pure gold, mingling love, and sparrow. Those are the three friends. And they come, and they like if you do not know what to do with someone, this is the perfect thing. They came to show sympathy and to console him. From a distance, they didn't recognize him. They began to weep loudly. Each of them tore their robes, threw dust out over their heads. Okay, so you wouldn't do this necessarily. What they're doing is they are showing outwardly an expression of their inward sorrow for what has occurred to Job. They are weeping loudly. They tore their clothes. They put dust over their heads, the sackcloth, the ashes, those kinds of things. So if you have a friend in mourning, don't get your jewelry all on and fancy and all of that. Just go and sit with them in quietness, in stillness, just be present with them, and don't ask them a lot of questions. Let them initiate conversation, and if they don't want to talk, don't talk. Just be there for them. Just be there for them. They sat down with him on the ground for 7 days and 7 nights, yet no one spoke a word to him, for they saw that his pain was very great. I'm going to go look at that. Is that Gadol? I'm going to assume that it was Gadol. Yes. His pain was Moed Gadol. Moed Gadol. It is great pain. Very great pain. This word shows up throughout the book of Jonah. It is a great fish. It's a great city. It's a great cry that goes out. So we have this also here in Job. He has great pain. Great pain. Yeah, one reason, absolutely, the ministry of being present. We don't, I mean, I try to persuade and push people towards that mentality. And I would struggle with people in the congregation at times when they would ask the person in the hospital that I visited, did the pastor read any verses to you? He didn't read any verses. He did what? Why didn't he read verses? Because I was trying to be present with the person, not come in with an agenda and say, well, it's not a pastoral visit until I read you a verse, and I'll just read you a verse that should comfort you, and then I'll go away. Like, no, that is not how you comfort people. That is not how you comfort people. That's going in with an agenda to make yourself feel better. If you go, well, I will just say a Bible verse and pray for you, and then I'll go away. No, I want to spend the time with the person. Yes, I have scripture verses I could read, and I have them at the ready, and I have prayers available, and I have them at the ready, but I don't force it into the situation. And if people want, I absolutely provide it. And I often would ask if they would like to have a prayer before I leave, or can I pray for you before I go? But I would usually not just say, oh, okay, I'm here. Let me read some passage that'll make you feel better and change your circumstances. Because that's not how it works. Now, yes, I can read some passage to bring you comfort and peace, hopefully, in the midst of your trial. And that I'm absolutely in favor of if the person needs it. Sometimes all the person needs is the pastor to show up or a friend to show up. They don't need you to pull out the Bible and read it. What they need is you, because you are the very presence of Christ for them. And that's all they need. All right.